My apologies if you love cloth gags, because as you can see, the Turkish definitely prefer the sticky gags, and that's what all 5 of the scenes we're covering will feature. In addition to being the Turkish cycle, you also could have called this the complex kidnapping cycle, because all of these scenes involve some conspiracy or weird hostage exchange or surprise. They're all pretty interesting, so you will enjoy them. And it is finally time for the Turkish cycle. If you're watching this, I know it's running late. Believe me, I didn't want it to run this late because you may or may not know this, but November and December are the best month for YouTube creators to upload videos. It pays the most money. Well, this year is an exception because of the presidential election, so September and October were the best this year. But typically it's November and December, and I wanted these to start rolling out the middle of last month at the latest, but the sheer volume of workload, like I told you on the community board a few weeks ago, the sheer volume of the workload had just made that impossible, which means you have a lot to look forward to. These are some really good scenes. But before we even dive into that, and can you believe after 285 episodes that we've only ever covered 4 Turkish scenes up until this point? That's kind of one of the reasons I wanted to do a whole 5 episodes of Turkish scenes as well, is because, yeah, we just haven't done enough of them. And I think most people, like, it seems to be pretty much a consensus view that Turkish scenes overall are the best scenes. And I think a lot of that does have to do, I think I talked about it with Anna, a lot of that does have to do with the accessibility of Turkish scenes, because basically every single Turkish show has an official YouTube channel in the highest quality footage available, full episodes, and there's an abundance of them online on YouTube. They have a really good system where they allow people outside of Turkey, typically only people outside of Turkey, to watch their stuff on YouTube, because they obviously have television deals inside of the country. So they do a good job of monetizing the whole world and allowing us to watch their excellent creations. Before I dive into those episodes, I'm going to give you guys a little idea of what each episode looks like, so you're aware, and to kind of touch base on some things so you know what's coming. Before we do that, though, some other things I've been working on that I've told you about. Obviously, the digital creations. I've told you for a long time now that I'm remastering them. Remastering is probably the wrong word. Really, I'm kind of remaking them, with the exception of Adventures in Babysitting, where there will probably be very, very little additions, because we made some additions when we made the movie, and I already updated that. Then again, you may not have received that document, so I guess there could be some new stuff there. But with the exception of Adventures in Babysitting, all the other ones are basically going to be kind of remade. Really beefed up, adding in new characters. I know that some of you have asked about Danny's character being in them, and she will be. So that's another thing that I'm working on. Also, merchandise, we had talked about before. I'm still taking ideas from you guys, and I'm sorry I haven't gotten to that yet. You know, making the merchandise shelf, selling. This is different than the Amazon store. This is actually stuff with our logo and name on them, or other messages, things that you guys would be comfortable wearing in public. Still taking suggestions on that. Channel memberships. Still taking some suggestions on that as far as some perks that you guys think would be fair to offer. Obviously that will be different than Patreon. We're certainly never going to replace Patreon, but yes. So still working on those things. Let me see if there's anything else I missed. Nope, that seems to be it for that. Scheduling. So over the last 3 years, if you count the next 5 Turkish episodes, if I get them out by the end of the year, which I hope to, but may not, which will suck for advertising reasons because January is terrible. But anyway, if you count those Turkish scenes, we'll technically come to a count of 20 episodes for 2020, which is the same amount of episodes we technically were supposed to have in 2019. 2 of them fell over into this spring, but I count them for last year. And then in 2018, we also only did 20 episodes. So for the last 3 years, we're looking at 60 episodes, which is not ideal, because in the 1.5 years prior to that, we did 230. Will that ever be possible again? No. One of the reasons we were able to do so much volume back then is because the episode quality was low. They were low quality episodes. They really were. Yeah, I mean, I didn't do a lot of the recordings, and a lot of footage is not good context. They weren't very good episodes. I rushed the commentary out. They weren't very good. A lot of the scenes were really short, and the themes weren't as good as what we do now, as broad anyway, allowing me to do better scenes, find more of a variety and whatnot. So I want to try and get an actual schedule lined up moving forward into the future. So the plan right now, we're getting these Turkish ones out here in December. Moving into next year, I want to make it where we do a 5-episode cycle in February, April, June, August, October, December. So every other month starting in February, 6 cycles per year, 5 episodes, 30 episodes. So we'll get a bump in the amount of episodes per year. Then we'll have recaps where applicable. And there may be some bonus episodes tossed in, I suppose. I typically like to do a 1 through 5 with the numbering, but I suppose that, we've had, when it came to that 2018 awards where the best scene was the 4th one in the cycle. So we've had them out of numbered, like out of sync before, where the best one is a 5 or a 0. So I don't know. I may do that, but the plan is to get at least 30 out instead of 20. And obviously the Turkish stuff, the workload has been insane, but not all cycles are going to have that kind of a workload. So I think it's doable. I think it's reasonable. Yeah, I think it'll work out pretty well. But on to these Turkish episodes, so that you know what to expect. Episode 286, the opener. Oh yeah, by the way, these are not episodes, these are bolums. Bolum. That's Turkish for episode or chapter. Yes, bolum, so they will actually be KKBLM and then the number for these 5. Yeah, so the first bolum, 286, is from a long-running Turkish franchise, and the scene itself, I know it's very popular with you guys because other people have uploaded it. It's made the rounds over the last 10 years. That's how old it is, 10-year-old scene, and people have updated it in various forms, from decent quality to Major John's, which I call an MJ potato. The terrible video quality. Not that that's the worst. I've seen worse. Danger Theater. No offense. But some of these qualities are just not very good. So I have it in the best quality possible from the official distributor with more context. I know you guys really like the scene. Personally, I think it's overrated. There's not that much there, but we're gonna get that one out first for the opener. Then the second one, episode 287, it's special because it is going to be part 1 of a 3-part KK saga. So episode 287 will be a part 1, and then there will be a part 2 and a part 3 that are connected to that part 1. I will not be running them this Turkish cycle though. They will come later. Don't know when exactly, but 287, there's not that much full treatment footage in it. I did custom editing to really make the most out of it, and I think some of the stuff I did with it was pretty cool. But it is a complex kidnapping, and it leads to scenes down the road that are connected to it, which are far superior. The part 2 and part 3 will be far superior to this part 1. But I needed to lay the groundwork and let you guys see it so you know what's going on. Like I said, there's not very much variety in it with the full treatment stuff, although I do replay it and reuse it in such a way that it comes out looking pretty good. And what there is of it, I think, is better than what is in episode 286, which is why it comes after it, even though both of them are on the shorter side. So the Turkish side is going to open up a little bit slow. But when we get to 288, that's when things are going to pick up, because that's when we get into a really complex kidnapping, and that'll even be in the title of the episode, I think. And it is really good stuff. It's a long episode. These episodes, by the way, I should tell you, only 2 of the 5 are going to have commentary with Anna in them. We actually recorded 4 of the 5. I called an audible with 287 and swapped it out in place of something else we did the commentary for. But I technically have commentary filmed with Anna for 4 of them. However, I'm only going to be using 2 of them, because episodes 288 and 289 are extremely long. So the commentary will be in 286 and then the main event 290. I'll have commentary with me talking it, but there's just no time for anything extra in 288 and 289. They're just massive scenes. And yeah, with 288, it's complex stuff, really good. I think you guys are going to enjoy it a lot. It's probably going to be close to a 40-minute episode, somewhere around there. Then we get into 289. Episode 289 may be the longest DID scene in the history of television. Not in all of entertainment, possibly, because there are independent productions such as the ones that I make, and even like The Girl, episode 264 of the show, and I've seen others that are basically like a DID scene for the whole movie that have limited characters. This isn't limited characters, though. This is an actual television show with multiple storylines going on, and I think it's the longest DID scene in the history of television. And you're going to agree probably, because the KK episode is roughly an hour long. And I hate doing that, but I didn't have much of a choice here. When you see the sheer volume of footage in episode 289, you're going to understand why it is almost an hour long. Phenomenal stuff. The only downside of it is that it is not in full screen, full HD. It's kind of an older Turkish show. In fact, it's probably the oldest Turkish scene I've ever seen. Yeah, it's awesome stuff what there is. And the quality, it's, for the most part, what you got to be aware of is there's kind of 2 different quality sources I'm using. One of which, the main one I use, is semi-full screen 720p. So it's actually pretty good quality. And then there's a full screen 480p, which is slightly less. I mean, it's not really that bad, but after you've seen episode 288, which is full screen, full HD, newer stuff, beautiful footage, it's a little disappointing, especially because everyone would love to see episode 289 in full screen, full HD. I have my fingers crossed that in like 5 years or so, they'll re-upload the full episodes, because they started out 5 years ago with those full screen, full episodes in 480p, and then 2 years ago, they did partial segments of the show in the 720p partial screen. So hopefully maybe in years from now, they'll do full screen, full HD, and we can recap it. And I say years from now because I've spent so much time on this thing, I don't even want to see it again for a long time, even though it's excellent. And then we're on to the main event. The main event is a favorite scene of mine. I've known about it since before I started the show, even though it is a newer scene. I've always wanted to run it, and I'm very excited to do so. And you're going to thank me for waiting, because had I not waited, it would have been in 480p, because only 6 to 8 months ago did they finally, for the first time ever, upload the full episodes in full screen, full HD. It is phenomenal stuff. All I'm going to say is 2 blondes, and you probably saw the picture at the beginning of the video showing you the thumbnails of the damsels, and it's one of my all-time favorite scenes. And to be totally honest with you, episodes 288, 289, and 290, they could all have been the main event. They are all questionably top 50 scenes of all time. I don't think that would be a stretch at all to say that. I mean, they are long, they are detailed. There is just a plethora of DID action coming from this Turkish Cycle. And like I said, episode 287 is a little disappointing on the full treatment stuff, but it's really a means to an end to get us down the road, because part 3 of that is one of the greatest DID scenes of all time as well. So you have a lot to look forward to with the Turkish stuff, with our Turkish Bolems. Some other things to be made aware of real quickly. Like I said, there's a lot of reverse footage used appropriately that really enhances the action. Also in these scenes, there's a lot of flashbacks. I use a color filter on those, as does episode 288 by itself. Episode 288 has a lot of natural flashbacks. So I tried to use a matching similar filter to throw my own in there, and 289 will have them as well. I have to use that where necessary in order to make the edit work. I have to use filler footage, whether it's reverse footage or flashback footage, so that you know. That's something to keep an eye out for, so that you know what's going on with those color schemes. In case you go and get confused as to what's going on, a color change is a flashback, so that you know. But with all of that being said, a lot of really good stuff is on the way, and we're excited for that, and I will see you guys in those episodes. Thanks.